Hello, lovelies, and welcome to another edition of Hold My Latte 2022. Happy Valentine's Day! So, well, let's see. Update. January was a disaster. The beginning of February was a monster. Seriously, 2022. Just try to be nice to us. Just gonna sip my latte and keep going. Oh, and by the way, ta-da! I published a book this week. So, Blue Butterflies, Blue Water, which is the first part of the Blue Butterflies duology as the Pagosa Star series, is now out. It is dedicated to my lovely friend Glenn. Ooh, I love you, sweetie. How's Australia? Um, and Blue Butterflies has an interesting story behind it. It is the first contemporary sort of almost contemporary women's almost chicklet thing that I wrote. And I actually wrote it on a dare. I was dared to write it by my friend Zerlis. And she was writing a book on overused tropes. It was a satire. And we were laughing we were just she'd post a thing talking about this trope or that trope and how it went so wrong. And we were laughing and there was one day we were talking about if you're a werewolf and you have an acrylic manicure and breast implants, where do those go when you turn into your wolf? I mean, do you have lumps on your wolf? Does your wolf paws have like shiny nails and just all kinds of ridiculous things like that? And so Zerlis was like, well, let's all do a trope thing. Let's all join together and you have to write in the genre that you find most annoying, that you hate the most, and I'll give you 5 tropes to write. And so a couple of us were like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do this. And so I really disliked chick lit. And the billionaire romances, I hated them. I hated them. And so she's like, that's your one, and you got to have a billionaire, and you have to have an athlete, and those were 2 of my tropes. And then siblings or twins was thrown in there, so I had to figure out a way to have something that appeared like that, but then went around it. And then mafia was in it, and bachelor party gone wrong was in it. And so I started this world build for Blue Butterflies. And I was really surprised how much, because I twisted the billionaire thing. I twisted the siblings and twins thing like 3 times. The bachelor party that went wrong actually became, instead of being like a comedy thing, it became a very, very much tragic thing. So it became a thing that basically destroyed the lives of everyone it touched. And so I turned this trope that I hated into the first book of the whole Pagosa Cliffs world, and it actually started something that is now almost 1 million words. And so here we are, and Blue Water launched on Saturday the 12th. Because I was gone for the weekend, I wasn't able to do any promos. So I'm here on Valentine's Day to read you the excerpt of this very broken romance. And if you're followers of my Pagosa Cliffs world, you know that Pagosa Cliffs is where broken people end up. It's where they go to heal. It's where they go to recover. It's where they go to try to find a path back to better from bitter. And not everybody does it. So I will pull out my document and let me read you the blurb for blue water. Okay, Olympic diver Camille Wallace and her sister Willamina learned the truth about the love and devotion of the Hightower men only 2 nights before Willamina's wedding through their shared cloud account with Mina's fiancé, and 328 images of a bachelor party featuring their doppelgangers entertaining Kent and Kyle. Tragedy followed. 15 years later, can Camille and Kyle clear the water between them and start over? Or is Ice Cold Coach Wally too stubborn to forgive? Did those pictures justify the secret Camille kept and what it cost Kyle? They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But what if those words were based on a lie told by a desperate brother beholding to a murderous gangster? How can 2 people overcome heartache when the last decade and a half of suffering were pointless? So yes, it requires tissues. There will be tears. Please send your tears to Mama Maggie on the prairie. I need them for my roses. Okay, scroll down to the place where I wanted to start, and I actually used a random number generator with literally all of the pages in it up through page 200. There's 292 pages in the printed, if you buy the paperback copy. So the page number that it picked was 125. So I'm going to start reading on page 125, and we'll just finish this little section. Camille didn't speak the entire drive to the Ridgeline Ranch. She got out without even saying goodbye and stormed into the house, leaving the bag containing her wet dress and boots in the back seat. Sighing, Tank picked up the bag. He was going to have to make Camille listen the hard way. It was the right thing to do, because Kyle was just as innocent as Camille. Deep inside, Tank prayed it wasn't going to cost him his best friend to do it. He cared for Camille, but there was someone back in her life that cared for her more, and 2 teen girls who needed a father. Knocking at the door, he waited. When she didn't answer, he went in. She wasn't in the kitchen, so he walked down the hall. He could hear her shower running and her crying. Shaking his head, he went out and put her clothes on the drying rack in the laundry room. He hoped her favorite date night boots weren't ruined. Pausing in the kitchen, he made her a cup of instant cocoa from a canister. Then he went back and sat on her bed to wait for her. He was looking at the picture she kept on her nightstand of her and Mina at their first Olympics. I made you cocoa, and I think we need to talk about Kyle Hightower, Tank opened when she came out wrapped in a towel. There's nothing to talk about, she snapped and walked into her large closet. He could hear her rummaging around. Yes, there is. You still love him, Tank called out. A moment later, she was standing in the door, eyes blazing cold enough to freeze a normal man's blood in his veins, but Tank just tipped his head as he looked at her. Your shirt's wrong side out. Camille looked down and made an embarrassed, exasperated sound. Close your eyes. And I do not love Kyle Hightower. He chuckled and obeyed, but kept talking. I know you still love him, or you wouldn't have reacted the way you did. And I know he still loves you. You need to talk to him. Tank, if you say I like what we have, I will turn you over my knee and spank you, he taunted. You did that once. I didn't like it, she scowled. She sat on the bed at the end and began brushing out her hair. I love you, not him. That was 5 years ago, beautiful, and we were both drunker than two skunks swimming in a Johnny Walker barrel. We've kept each other company, what, a half-dozen times since then? And we've always been 4 sheets to the wind. Come here and kiss me sober like you kissed him tonight, and I'll believe you love me and not him. Thomas, do we have to do this tonight? I'm tired and cold, she whined. Suddenly, he pulled her against him and kissed her. It felt weird, unnatural, and empty. Thomas was an exceptional kisser, but it just wasn't right, and they both knew it. They had known it for a long time. They had no spark. He leaned back, looking down at her tears, his fingertips gently brushing them away. I know you don't want to love him, but you do. That's why we will never be. I love you, Camille, as my best friend, and that's all we will ever be, best friends. I know he broke your heart, beautiful, but there are some things he told me about that night and after, things you need to know, and I don't want you to talk until I'm done. And I am telling you straightforward, I am on his side about this. The next morning, Camille was at the pool just as the sun colored the horizon rose and gold over the mountains around Pagosa. The lights in the water created an eerie turquoise glow in the darkened room, which danced and fluttered across the exposed beams of the ceiling 4 stories above. Ghost of light and water that had been her life's companion from the first time she jumped into the pool at the age of 4. She just stood there with her toes on the edge of the platform, staring down at the water. For the first time in forever, she didn't want to jump. She was afraid of the fall. She could still feel Kyle's lips on hers. It made her frozen heart hurt, as if her butterfly's wings were sledgehammers beating against her chest, trying to revive something she thought long dead. She was still shocked by Tank's revelation that all she believed was truth was based on a terrible deception, and she wasn't the only one betrayed. It was all so tragic, so senseless. Her sister was dead, driving to the airport when she should have been at home in bed the day before her wedding. They were supposed to get mani-pedis and massages, and an afternoon of pampering was replaced by an afternoon of waiting to find out if the emergency surgery would be enough to save her baby. The results of the drastic medical procedure was a near brain-dead, horribly scarred incubator for her niece to grow in. Kent was dead, guilt and grief over something he didn't remember doing, something caused by his youngest brother's addiction, compulsions, and weaknesses led him to do something that could not be undone. The result? His suicide left Willow truly orphaned. How could she ever explain it all to the girls? Would Willow forgive her the misunderstanding that led Camille to let the Hightowers believe Mina was dead and as a result had killed Kent too? Kyle had spent his life alone while she had struggled to raise the girls. At least she had her family. He had no one. For the first time, she felt guilt. Guilt for never hearing him out when it happened tore at her. Guilt for violently protesting Grandma Doreen's insistence she call him, pressed down on her like swim weights. The worst guilt came from the fact she hoarded her daughter and niece's first smiles, first steps, first words, first everything, while he buried his brothers and struggled to save his father's legacy. She wasn't a bad person. She was just so hurt. She was still hurt, and as Tank pointed out, she no longer knew how to live without pain. Camille thought about the day in Mexico when Kyle took her to see the blue morpho butterflies, how they fluttered and danced around them, how one crawled so gently on her cheek. She looked up and realized he had the same color eyes as those butterflies swarming around them, the same color as the butterfly tattooed over her heart, the heart which a misunderstanding of betrayal crushed and left frozen for 15 years. She remembered the strange nightmare she had where her butterfly had torn itself free from her skin and carried her heart to him. She realized now she had never gotten it back. She had acted heartless toward the man who still held it. She didn't know how to make things right. All around her, the condensation from the warm pool wept with her. The blue water was her life. It was the only clear thing in this muddy, murky world, and it seemed in this moment to share her pain. Leaning forward, she decided to fall, chasing the tears which fell ahead of her like drops of rain. As her toes left the platform, a voice came out of the silence. "Camille." Startled, she twisted in the air to recover, muscling herself into a pike position. Her hands punched a hole in the water, feet arched instinctively to pull the splash under with her. Looking up through the shifting surface, she could see someone standing in the morning light. Kyle was waiting for her above the water, just like in her dream last week. Had he really come back into her world only a week and a day ago? It seemed like such a short time for her world to be turned upside down. The last time, it had only taken a night and a day. Sinking, she didn't want to face him. Not yet. But the ache for air forced her to porpoise kick up to the surface. They stared at each other. "What do you want, Kyle?" "I want to know the truth about Willamina's accident and why you lied to us," he demanded. So much heartache over a misunderstanding, over 328 pictures of a bachelor party that was the result of a very troubled youngest brother trying to take advantage of his older brothers to get his share of his father's wealth. He wanted his inheritance before he came of age, before he turned 25, and he was an idiot. And it killed everyone in their family. Well, that is all I have for you today. Blue Butterflies is available for Kindle and print on demand. If you are following me, Ghost with Cats is being read on my channel right now. I also have stories publishing every third day on Kindle Vella for Ancient Ice Age. And what else? I don't think I have any more news. Hold My Latte 2022 is limping along. We are getting things done. And so visit my page, watch for upcoming episodes of hashtag Whip Chat. We're finishing world building this week. And I hope that you have a very lovely Valentine's Day. Talk to the ones you love. If there's a problem, if you feel hurt, talk it out, because you don't want to end up like Camille and Kyle, where you go 15 years without speaking a word to each other, and then you find out that it was all pointless. Be blessed and have a very lovely day.